Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know we've been trying to set this up for probably about 2-3 years now, but eventually we're here.
We're here at the Wolverhampton Golden Bar and Grill. Thank you for coming all the way to Wolverhampton to see us.
Well, you know, it's like a second home to me now. I just love this city. I think the vibe, the Asian vibe here is probably the best now in the West Midlands.
I think you used to say that to us back in the days, you know, what's in the water in Wolverhampton, you know, it's all happening in Wolverhampton.
It is, and this is the place where Azaad took birth, isn't it? I want to take you guys back to the early days, before you even met. And, you know, what made you think that, you know, you should establish a band, you should become a singer? How did it all begin?
Well, it started in our teen years, even before that, Parminder, isn't he?
Kids.
9, 10, 11-year-old, you know, we're year 7s, Parminder and myself, we knew each other, you know, went to the same school and we were friends, you know.
We lived a few doors away from each other.
Yeah, we lived in the same street. So that was the actual start of the whole thing, you know. And then there was an interest. I always enjoyed listening to film music. You know, the films were very popular, as you know, in the early 70s, into the 70s, one of the 70s videos and, you know, cinemas. And Hindi music was really very, very popular.
I remember when Bobby came out, the film Bobby, in 1976, 77.
Yeah.
We used to write songs in the classroom. "Main shair to nahi." And Kash used to sing, you know. You know, we used to swing around lampposts.
That's when he started, you know, in the early 70s. And then you know, just singing casually here and there. And then meeting the other fellas. How did we meet Hardeep and Harjinder?
Did you have an inclination at that time at school that you could actually sing?
I think so. Well, you know, you go to the boys' toilets, okay, you know, right, okay, and there's an echo there, you know, and we would spend a lot of time there. But we did spend a lot of time there. But it was kind of sometimes we'd be there and be somewhere in school alone, and there'd be kind of an echo there, and you know that sort of sounds nice, and that led to a bit more singing as we walk into school in the morning. There's me, Parminder, some other boys. We just sing songs, you know, and they could say, "Kash, you can sing a little bit, you know, you know, things like that, you know." And slowly that developed into a bigger interest, didn't it, Parminder?
Yeah, I mean, I think even before that, when we were like say 6, 7 years old, I mean, you had an interest in music, and my great grandfather bought me a radio when in Jalandhar, and having a radio in the house was like having a car, because all the mahalla used to gather around because not everyone could afford a radio. And I said, I want a radio, and he bought me a radio, and I used to copy the music that was on there, you know, Yamla Jat. He actually had a recording when my uncles, when I came here in 1966, I was only a few years old, and they had a recording of it, of me singing. But they found the tape eventually, many years later. It all turned to dust, you know, those big glue. So well, unfortunately.
Like going back to India, actually, I do have musical roots, because my brother, who sadly passed away quite a while ago, he was a DJ in India. Okay. So we would have the latest songs. So at that time, Yamla, with, you know, Satgur Nanak Teri Lila Nariye was just released. Nair Prito De was brand newly released. It was banned. Nair Prito was banned actually when he first came out. And my brother, I was about 4 or 5 year old. Bansi was a bit older than me, my brother Gary. But Gurdyal, he was about 13, 14. I had another brother older than him. And so at about 17, 18, there were DJs. We'd have the latest taves, you know, the plastic, what they call them, those records, the Patrali record, and we had a collection of those, you know. And of course there's Surinder Kaur, you know, with her latest songs, you know. So I was well into it, and I actually learned to sing listening to Surinder Kaur. And when later on even before I met Parminder, I would sing at little parties. Most of the weddings took place in a house in the late 60s and early 70s. And you would bring the Guru Granth Sahib into the house, and you'd have the fairies there, but you'd have the party, the eating in the house, but the men would go to the pub. And that's where I'd be, on the table, playing the table.
You're one of many people who've narrated that similar story, that your first exposure to performing in front of people was at, family weddings in a pub.
And at that time, Rampal, and Nadi Skeet Party, and other people like that, Ashoka, they were all they were teenagers at the time, and they were developing their sort of music, and that's where I sort of learned.
With myself, my mama, Gajan Singh Bansal, he had one of the first Bhangra groups in UK, 1966, the Punjab Bhangra group from Wolverhampton, and they used to gather at my uncle's house after the shows, and used to have like the music, Baja came out, after a few drinks, the chilling and everything. We used to have 10, 15 people in the front room. And so music was sort of, around us all the time in our youth, So that's what sort of influenced me. And they used to do shows in Barcelona and all over Europe. And I used to think, I want to do something like that when I grow up.
Were there any particular artists from India or here that influenced you at that time?
Oh, of course. I mean, like I said, in the early days, it was Satvinder Kaur, Prakash Kaur, Yamala Jatt, and all the Muhammad Siddiq and that. But then afterwards, we got into Kuldeep Maan, Gurdas Maan, A.S. Khan.
From the UK.
I used to love a lot of Pakistani artists as well.
From India, mainly Yamla. He was very popular in the late 60s and 70s.
We met our God because in Derby, actually, we did a show with him, and he was chilling with us in the,
Well, we treasure some of those pictures, don't we? Of Yamla, with his torla and with white,
it was like really sort of weird, sort of meeting the icon that you sort of looked up to all your
and meeting Surendra Kaur as well, in Birmingham when she came. We sang with her on stage as well. So we met our idols many years later that we worshipped in India, when we were little. People that we learnt from by listening.
Yeah. So, those people influenced you. So how did you guys get together?
Well, like me and Kash were always together from the age 9, 10 years old. He's like 1 year older than me. But like at school, I met Rajinder Boparai, Satnam, who was in my class. And we were like-minded people. We used to play Tolki on the desk, and and then when we went to college, we had another guy, Fateh, and Hardeep, the keyboard player. So we just like-minded people. Oh, it's like just here say, oh, Bajja baja lenda, minu Tolki wala, oh, Tolki baja lenda, right? Things like that. And minu thode bahut gauna aaya. And we just, the summer holidays, we used to sort of get together and in the front room, and I think it was 1979. And then we got together in the summer holidays, just messing about in the front room with the Bajja Tolki. And they said, oh, we need another singer. So I know someone who sings, and book Kash in. Okay. So it's like like-minded people, and then
so just a group of lads kind of having fun and got together.
They're all in our early or late teens, and just want a bit of fun, really, But at the same time, listening to some of the music that were coming out, trying to copy those and mimic some of our idols.
I mean, we weren't sort of well off in those days. I mean, even for keyboards, we had to put £10 each and say, "Mummy, can we borrow £10?" And they say, "Are you going to make money or borrow money?" But I remember the first keyboard we bought £70.
And there were 7 of us in the band, 10 each,
£10 each, and it was like,
and we bought our first keyboard, from our pocket money.
But then when we started getting shows in local pubs, people were working class people. That's who we entertained, really. They worked in foundries and factories, and on a Friday when they get the wage packet, they want to go to a pub and relax and have a bit of entertainment. And that's what we sort of did for them, whether it was Diwali, Baisakhi, New Year's Eve, Christmas, whatever occasion. The pubs used to say, "Idhar sada show kar," because it was free entertainment. We used to give us a few free drinks, and And people were so generous in those days, you know, like £1 was a lot of money, you know, to give away. You know, when you're getting like 30 quid a week, right? Yeah. £30 a week, and you're giving a couple of pounds.
So a lot of bands at that time made, you know, the bit of money that they might have made to buy equipment and so on from, you know, Hans Loverday kind of people donated.
That was all our sort of the money we put it towards buying new equipment. We bought our own PA, you know, new keyboards and new instruments. You know, that's how we sort of that was our bread and butter to, you know.
So where did the name Azaad come from? You know, I think it's just a fantastic name. You know, it just resonated so well with you as a band. It's just brilliant.
Well, Parminder should. Yeah, you tell the story how that came about.
You know, in those days, my like Gajjan Mama, he used to have a Cortina Mark IV, and he used to give me the keys. You know, you can drive around. No, you know, in those days, if one person had the insurance, it was okay, no one even bothered. So we used to go down there. And he had this cassette in there. It was like Shahidi song, like, and it was Shahid Bhagat Singh song coming on, and the name Azaad came in there. And we had this thing in our group, say, everyone think of a name by next week, and we'll name our band. And everyone said this and that, and I said Azaad. You know, I like this word Azaad. You know, it means a lot to be free, and we, you know. That sounds good. Let's do that. So it came from a song.
Yeah. So you know, it kind of almost appears as if you know, Azaad gave you that freedom to follow your passion.
I mean, that's how we felt at the time as well. We left school and college. You know, we felt free, and you know, you know, we're going to grab the life, you know, and you know, do this and that. And,
you know, in those days, and we've all been through it. Our parents were so determined to educate us so that we get good jobs and kind of climb the ladder beyond what they were able to do at that time. Did you have any resistance from your parents?
Well,
that maybe you should be doing something else rather than singing and dancing?
My dad loved music, and he was one of those people who emptied his pocket, you know, and his batua when he listened to some of the singers that we at the time, like Rampal and Alam Lohar would come to. You know, Alam Lohar would sing in pubs in those days, and he just loved music, so he encouraged.
I think all our parents knew each other, and they were very encouraging. I mean,
there might have been one or two other members where the families were
you got to remember
more strict.
In those days, we didn't have any other entertainment to keep us occupied. We didn't have any, you know, computer games or anything, you know, PlayStations or nothing, and 3 channels on a TV. So, you know, they sort of said, okay, if it keeps you, makes you happy, just go for it.
But you did very well, because not did you only create a band which was world known, and you've got some massive hits under your belt, but you also, you know, followed your professions as well. And Kash, you became a teacher. I think Hardeep was a teacher. Arjinder Boparai, you know, he's a professional. You yourself made sure that nobody gets into the country or leaves the country unless they've kind of got your authorization. So you know, you followed your careers as well.
We forget now how much sort of we have to adapt around the band.
I think when you're young, you got the energy to do a lot of things, you know. I don't know if you could do that now, but you know, you're right. You know, we held on to our professions.
I think we did. Sort of in a funny kind of way, look for jobs that didn't involve us working at weekends, because weekends was our main shows, were Saturday, Sunday.
So that's why you became a teacher then, Kash.
And long summers.
You got a lot of time in summer. You got a lot of time.
But even
I was a teacher when we formed the band. I couldn't be bothered to be anything else, so you know, I thought, you know, my dream was actually to work in the in research and research and development.
You did biochemistry.
I did biochemistry, and I got a good degree in biochemistry, honors degree in biochemistry, you know, and I couldn't be bothered to pursue my career in that. Teaching is the easy option, you know, so I went for that. But I made it into I became a deputy head eventually, you know, when I retired. So I did quite well out of that. Most of the other lads as well, because we were like-minded musically and professionally, we allowed each other to develop as well into their own profession. Because I don't know, maybe if we took the music a bit more seriously and we didn't pursue our careers, maybe we'd be more professional. Maybe, I don't know, you know, we'd be making a living out of music. But eventually it does wither away, I'm afraid.
But I think, you know, you guys you were the first one to go to university. Sorry, University of Bath.
Yeah. Surrey University.
Surrey University. It was like developed the band as well, because from like the pub circuit, pub and club, schools started booking us. You know, the kids, it was entertainment, they loved it. And then when Kash went to uni, he booked us for the uni gig, and that it was like a Catholic sort of, you know, light, wasn't it? Sort of all the university circuit heard about it, and they started booking us. Like we were playing.
Was that our first gig at university?
Yeah, end of '79 with the Punjab Bhangra group and Parminder Azaad. And from then it like lit a fire, and then every university, polytechnic started booking us. We were in Cardiff, Newcastle, Glasgow, Edinburgh,
what kind of songs did you sing? Were they cover versions?
In those days, in those days, right, you sang the songs on stage first before you released them. So we're singing Pini Pini first, Mohabbat we singing that before it was released. So, but when the songs were released, they were very easy on people's ears, and they took them on very, very quickly. So we're singing a lot of cover versions, of course, Manak and
But there was a Bollywood scene as well, because we used to have a mixture of students, you know, like from different backgrounds.
Well, the Bollywood music sort of transformed from Bollywood slowly into Punjabi. So there was like a crossover. So you start the shows with Bollywood songs, and then you eventually go into the Punjabi.
Was there a point in your career at that time when you thought, hang on, there's something happening here in terms of Bhangra music, Punjabi music in the UK. That's where we want to hit it. Was there a point at which you decided that?
You could see it in the crowd, couldn't you, that they needed something like this, right. And that's why we got to do some recordings. And the recording started, like the first one we did, the job, which was more like an experiment in 1982, wasn't it? When Chanjit Huja came and he did the music for us. And the one that really put us on the map was Nachdi Jawani, which is going to be 40 years in a few
40 years.
And that, I think that's around the time we sort of met you guys when we played in Derby. And that's when it all sort of, shot up. And
it was a real surprise, actually, when we would go to Southall. There are people who are singing, requesting our songs. We were really unaware that we are as popular as we are. And then when he hit us later on, that this is working. So let's get more professional. We get the backing of the big companies, EMI. You got Severa, Multitone, Magic Roundabout, and they begin to really back you up. They pay you the expenses for your recordings, and they pay you a little bit of royalties, which they never did, by the way. But they promised to pay rules on contract, and that was a kind of motivation.
So Nachdi Jawani was the birth of Azaad on the professional level with that record. Just talk to us about how that came about. How did you get the songs together? How did you get the music together? How did you get your first recording contract and so on? Was it plain sailing, or did you have to work hard?
We felt really good about doing Azaad Joban. Chanjit Huja and Kaljit Bhangra played the dholak and tabla on it. Actually, he played the tabla on it. Harjinder Bopra played the dholak on it. And Kaljit Bhangra, in those days, he was a great musician. As he is now. He was starting out at the time. So we got a few songs together, and the local writer Janduji, Malli, and Meru Jandavi, these guys were local to us, and they gave us loads of songs. We had 20-30 songs we'd have ready to go. Things like Gurunal Shimita, Pini Pini Sharab, and Bulia Rampal. These songs were with us, unrecorded, and we got the tunes. Then we got in touch with Kaljit, and he took on the project, and he wanted to, because he's a sort of like a follower of Chanjit Huja as well, so he wanted to produce something like that. And he's got his own style and his own super style, and he came out with Nachdi Jawani. In there, he didn't just use the traditional stuff, he actually put some drum machines in there. Nachdi Jawani's drum machines, there's electronics in there. So he was one step ahead of our first album. So that it really came about.
All the melodies were done by ourselves. We worked hard. We thought, okay, we're going to do something new here. We're not going to copy, say, a Yamla Jat song or this song. We actually came up with the melodies ourselves. And it was like you used to rehearse in a pub. you know, with the budget, all the band used to put ideas, sing this like this, or let me try it like this, and you know, all the ideas coming from 7-8 members of a band, and that's what it was. Wasn't it? And one of the songs you wrote, you know, Tere Khyalan, which was the slow one, which everyone sort of, you know, loved.
I loved it. You know, I can remember when that landed with us, that particular album, we just blown away. You know, the music was just exceptional. And it just came together, and it kept the airwaves busy for many months.
I think the difference between us and the earlier bands was you had Pachangi and you had Anadi, the super bands earlier, but they were doing their own music. Whereas we got professional directors, Ahuja, Khalid Pamra, you know, those people, and that sort of made
it was like a learning curve, because we've never been in a studio. So you know, if you do go in a studio, what you're going to do, you know, after the first few albums we learned, and then we started doing our own.
Drum and Toll was our production, and it's one of our biggest albums, you know, Drum and Toll, with Bolia in there and other.
Also, as you know, we were well known for having the variety in our songs, like Kash had the slow, you know, the melodic sort of voice, and we got well known for doing the slow songs, as they used to call them. Slow songs. We always used to have 1 or 2 of those in an album, and that had its own market, and people.
You had 3 singers. You had yourself. You had Kash, and obviously.
And we made use of our voices. We didn't try to compete with each other. Jitte Vi Jam Punjabi is a classic example of that. Parminder in the high bits, me and Bansi in the middle bit, Amna the, you know, the lower bits. We sort of, it's seamless, you know, the way we sort of work together with our voices.
That became an anthem. Jitte Vi Jam Punjabi.
And we were very lucky to have writers like Jandu Litranawari. I mean. Well, I think he's wrote a song for us in every album, 1 or 2 songs in every album, and he was like a computer, you know. He used to sort of really like working with us as youngsters, and we used to meet him, and he said, he used to open his books to us and say, I'll put Azaad on here, Paul this. We used to give them, and if it didn't work out for us, we give them the song back. Don't worry. And at least we got 3-4 that we can work on. So there was no Mera Gana nahi kita na. But he was like very nice to us. And
didn't record his song. He didn't, you know, we used to pay him a nominal amount of money, you know, sort of little bit, so, you know, it's his work. But he would not charge us anything if he didn't record the song. He could be lying with us for many years, but he wouldn't give it to anybody else. Azaad's got that. Eventually one day we might record that. The one song that I missed out on.
Have you still got some songs?
We might have some of his songs still around somewhere. One of the songs that he wrote actually was Uchi Suchi Bani Babe Nanak Di. Kar Vich Kahani Babe Nanak Di. And I had a beautiful tune for that, and we just waited, and Jazzy B recorded that. You know,
many years later.
Many years later, I've still got my own tune for that song. You know, that's the only song Jandu ever gave to somebody else. You know, all the other songs that we had, we kept them for years, and like Mohabbat Hogi, you know, we didn't do this straight away. You know, we probably recorded it a couple of years later or something. But he was good in that way to us.
So Nachdi Jawani put you on that pedestal, and that was followed up with Drum and Toll, Kabaddi, and many others. You know, kind of almost were producing an album per year. You know, how did it feel to be on that circuit, performing all the time, recording, and your songs being played on television, on radio, all over the place,
youth,
weddings, people dancing?
I mean, 87 was the year you were saying we released 2 albums, wasn't it? Gajri and then Kabaddi, both sort of, you know, Kabaddi was our work, Uja did Gajri Shankbhai, but most of the time it was actually 1 album per year, wasn't it, about? Which is, you know, very hard to achieve now, I think. You know, so, how do you do 10, 12 songs, you know, get all the tunes together and record, and, you know.
So at the same time around then, we can talk about the venues, like we started off in pubs, clubs, universities, and then that's when the sort of nightclub scene started coming out. And it was like unthought of before, like for Punjabi or Indian bands to play in a nightclub, and that sort of hit it off, and like You remember we used to play at Pink Coconut and Derby, Nottingham. You used to have coach loads of people coming from other places, you know. So that's the transformation.
How did it feel? You know, we're about the same age at that time. You know, we're young and into our early 20s, mid 20s. All that was happening. We could go on stage, and you know, there'd be several thousand people looking at you. You know, you guys performed. We just kind of went on stage and introduced you guys. For me, it was just kind of like a dream come true. So, talk to me about how did it feel for you guys?
I think BBC Radio Aajkal was a big part of the Bhangra scene. You probably don't realize it, but you guys were sort of there to sort of launch this, you know, because every band, whether they came from Wolverhampton or London, they had to be on your show, and I think that you had a big contribution towards it. And,
yeah, you had a chart, didn't you as well?
Yes.
You were just as big as any other band, you know, like you guys were up there. And I think you had a lot to do with the promotion of the scene of that time.
I think your name also attracted audience as well. You know, for Aajkal, Nikki, yourself, Polly, if you were going to be the host there, it'd be host, you know, your name's there, Azaad and other bands. That did have an effect.
Every time anyone released an album, you had to be on Aajkal.
Yeah.
You had to be on there to sort of, you know, that was the thing.
You were kind of performing all over the place and abroad as well. Just talk to me about some of the big shows that you did.
Our first tour was in 87 in Kenya. So like from like 6-7 years since our sort of inception to performing in another country, that was like a dream come true, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you know, people actually heard about music in Kenya and Mombasa.
In Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, performing big shows there. And then of course, California,
we played in
Los Angeles, we did some shows there.
Then Singapore, Malaysia. And it was like, it's only when you go there, I mean, because we didn't have any internet, it was hard to see what's happening in other countries because you haven't got the social media we have now. But it's like when you go to Singapore and the promoter took us to this warehouse, you know, where they do and the guy says, sold 50,000 of your CDs and I can't get any more, you know. And
you know, one of our biggest show, I think, you know, that I really enjoyed was when Imran Khan was raising money for a hospital. Imran Khan, the ex-president of Pakistan, you know, bless him, I hope he's okay. He was raising money for a hospital. He's always been a big charity person. And there was Nusrat there as well, you know. Dilip Kumar was there with Saira Bano. And you were singing, "Oh Dil Mera Le Gayi Oye." So we're looking at Imran Khan, you got to repeat that, Imran Khan ji, and he did.
He did. Wow.
We got pictures of Imran Khan. He's like 7 foot tall, you know. There's midget that's standing next to him, you know. But that was a show that I always remember, you know. Dilip Kumar there and other big stars there, you know.
You guys did meet some big names. That's sort of Fateh Ali Khan, Imran Khan,
Gurdas Manhuni, Hansraj. You know, we haven't performed with the Hansraj. Well, we have actually. Gurdas Man we haven't, but we've been to his shows and you know, supporting him as VIPs, and you know, but those were our, you know. Were
you living the dream? Or didn't you realize at that time?
No, I don't think we did. I think looking back now, when people look at you and say you're a legend, think we lived a dream. You know, you don't realize you're so busy, you know, with your profession, your families, producing music. You know, you don't realize you're actually living a dream. There are people that you're having profound effects on. You know, and they will tell us now at a show, you know, somebody in Manchester came to me. He said, "You won't realise, but the effect you had on us growing up was immense. You know, you sort of
we gave them an identity,
guided us and sort of moulded.
They didn't have a music to be proud of. You know,
otherwise, we wouldn't be listening to Punjabi music. We wouldn't be respecting Punjabi as much as we do now. So we didn't realise at the time. Years later, people come and tell us that. You know.
Well, one of the things that makes me laugh, well, it's serious really, but you know, Kash's song Tere Khayal language. Someone came to me and they said, "You know, your song kept me and my wife together." He says, "My parents and her parents were against this marriage, and we thought, oh, maybe it's just like not to be." But when we heard your song, we said we can't go through this. We're going to stay together no matter what.
Yeah.
Marriage brokers as well.
No, they stayed
something-
together because of that song.
There's something about that song, isn't there? There was another story of Dr. Devinder, lived in Jalandhar, and he'd been looking for who sung this song, Tera Khelna Vich. And I think he got my number through Devraj Jassal, bless him. He's not with us anymore. But Devinder got in touch with me. He had a clinic in Jalandhar. And he got my number through Devraj, and he said, "Are you the guy who sang Tera Khelna Vich?" He said, "Did you write the song? Is the story true in that song?" Because he said, "My story is the same." He said, "I was with somebody, and and he left and went to Canada, apparently." A very tragic story. One day when I'll tell you about Dr. Devinder, he passed away eventually, with this song in his mind, because his wife told me. Because I met him in May in Jalandhar, he's really well. He said he's got cancer. He said, "I'm okay. I've been to clinic, they're positive twice now," he said. I said, "You look all right." I said, "You're going to be fine, okay, And May, June, July, December came, and I thought, I'm going to ring. I rang his wife. But I rang this number that he gave me, and his wife answered. I said, "Can I talk to Dr. Devinder?" He's passed away. And she didn't know much about the song, but this guy, I think he was connected to this song, But there are some songs like these that you connect to. They're sort of milestones in your life.
They become key points in your life, don't they? Because that song resonated with you at that point in your life. But your music generally, your music and the other bands at the time here in the UK, that music became global. Okay, I remember talking to Gurdas Maan, and I said, "What do you think of the bands here?" He goes, "Oh my God," he goes, "the music," and he particularly mentioned Azaad. He goes, "Just take a listen to Azaad music. We couldn't create that in India in terms of the production, in terms of the beat, etc." But everybody looked to the UK and you guys and other bands.
Babu Maan says the same thing.
Yes.
And I met K.S. Makkan a few years back, and he says, "Oh my God, you the singer from Azaad?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "When I was young," he said, "we used to wait for videos to come to India from UK, so we could see who the band is and listen to you again and again."
But we were looking at the Punjabi music to sound like them. Ahuja, when he recorded, he was talking to me. When he recorded Azaad Joban, he had the cassette in his hand. He said, "I'm going to take this to India. I'm going to say, I want quality like this. We don't get this quality in India," he said, He actually took Azaad Joban with him to produce that kind of quality of music, So we were having an impact, weren't we, on the whole, the global sort of,
I'll tell you a funny story. When we released Drum and Toll 82, in
89?
89. About 1991, I went to India. I was in Jalandhar, and I was with my chacha, and I wanted to buy some sandals, and I was in this bazaar, and suddenly I heard, that's my song from. So I said to my chacha, he's from India, I says, "Listen, that's my song." He said, "I want to know where it's coming from." So I went to this stall, music stall, and I said, "Jada music vajda is show me what it is." I said, "That's me singing." He gave me a funny look. It's gone pagal ja aa gaya. Tape is the best selling. I've sold thousands of these. Now I can't get them. Now I'm copying them and selling them. Right? And he showed me the original cover. It had Bali's Khatra on the front, and our songs on A side and Bali's on the B side. He said the A side sare sonde I can't get enough. Sare beg gaiyan, right, and all this. And I said, "It's me singing." He kept looking at me. He still didn't believe me.
Till you sang a bolli, then he believed you.
It's difficult to quantify how much music you sold because there's a lot of piracy all over the world. Even in the UK, even record companies would kind of
we never
have two batches, the official batch and the unofficial batch.
I won't name any names, but they came out and said to me, in those days we had our machines going 24 hours a day doing copies, videos of films that were coming out. But when we were really flying high with our music, our tapes were copied.
You remember there was such a demand for them. It wasn't the music outlets that were selling them. You had them in your grocery shops, You know, like people selling aloo batan when they got your cassettes on their side. You know, like the people couldn't get enough of them.
Bansi alone had sold, he had a video shop and he sold cassettes. He alone must have sold about a couple of thousand of kabaddi when he first came out. And that's just one shop of one of hundreds and thousands of shops. You know, you can imagine what was really being sold, and we never really got any royalties for these. You know, and we don't get them now either. By the way,
it seems like you guys, you know, all the bands were busy making music, performing, etc. What was lacking at that time was business management. In terms of managing your art, your products as a business. Do you feel that you've missed out on that? You know, you missed out on what you were really due, and you know, if you had proper contracts now with proper management,
I think definitely
you might have had something, you know, which was going to last you a lifetime.
Because the phenomenon was sort of new to everyone, you know, like the experience of
it was just a bit of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was having promoters, running a band. We used to manage it ourselves. Kash used to be, you know, managing it, and it was like everyone was, everything was mixed. There was no sort of proper channel, you know, like, you know, promoters were all like doing it for themselves, you know, cutting each other. You know, if there's a rival show, they used to phone somebody, oh, that show is cancelled, which wasn't really, but, you know, and there was so much rivalry like that. And even with the bands, I mean, we used to have a great rapport with bands. I mean, obviously there was competition, but like you said, it wasn't sort of run properly the way it is now.
If we'd allowed somebody to manage us properly, I think we probably would live in a different sort of life as artists, I think. I can't say we mismanaged ourselves, but it could have been managed better by a professional body. We do our music, and professional companies, you know, manage and do the tours or whatever, sell records.
We know for the fact that we sold over 100,000 units of kabaddi. I mean, that is enough to get you in the charts if it's properly sort of accounted for. You know, if they're sold in HMV or Virgin, but if they're sold at your local grocery shop, no one knows, you know, how many units you sold.
I think the golden years of Bhangra was probably about 10 years, from about 85 when it started kicking off to about 95. Those were 10 years. Why did it suddenly kind of dip after that?
I think everyone blames the DJs because the new generation came. They wanted, you know, if they're having a party, a cool wedding, they want R&B in there, you know, like, and this and that. So the DJ can do that. Obviously, the bands can't cater for those kind of, you know, we're not a jukebox. We can't sort of play different genres of music for everyone to keep. I mean, in the olden days, we used to keep the people that were in the audience happy. We used to have old people. We used to always sing you old Jamra Jat song. The youngsters would do some Bhangra for them. You know, the ladies do a song for them. You know, but
I think DJs was one aspect. I think there were many other aspects which kind of made music, the whole scene dip at that time.
Music sort of fade in and out, don't they? And that phase started to fade out in about in the mid 80s, towards the 90s.
There wasn't I reckon that there wasn't a business model here in the UK.
Yeah,
you know, there wasn't. Nobody was developing.
That's one of the reasons.
Even the record companies were not developing a business model to sustain that music.
I think we had about 25 years of busy, you know, shows and that. I think after the year 2000, 2004, 2005, we started sort of dipping down. And now it's sort of.
But even now, even the DJs are kind of fading out a little bit. Now people now want to hear a bit of live music.
Yeah.
So
somewhere along the line, British Bhangra music industry, with a lack of a business model, people trying to chase the charts and trying to get into the mainstream, they neglected what was actually their core base fan, which was India and Punjabi people. And artists from India kind of saw that gap and encapsulated that space and took over.
I think also, if you try to do something that you're not, you know, like produce music that you're not into, right? You try to sort of cater for the market. That's not you.
It's not.
And that was
and that's what a lot of bands started doing. You know, they went
started
into
to put in reggae in there.
Rap. It wasn't their
forte. That sort of diluted our music, didn't it, a little bit? Okay, we didn't stick to our roots.
And that's when the guys from India, somehow they developed a business model. You know, they started with little videos because our music is visual. It's not just heard. You know, we're so used to seeing our music on film, you know, from Hindi films and so on. They encapsulated that with videos, then started films, and now look, you know, they're dominating the world, aren't they?
You can't beat India at the moment. I mean, some of the stuff that they're coming with.
And the quality is fantastic. Singers are obviously very
And the budgets are so...
So yeah, but why? You know, we've got more money here. Why have they got more money?
Well,
It's management, isn't it? They're
they've got a business
they're
model.
being managed. They're being managed by, you know, they've got a business model, yeah. So, you know, people are, look, the Sanj, you know,
See,
the heights he's gone to.
the other thing is, in nowadays, people listen to your music and you. Nowadays, you could have someone singing, you could have a nice model and another girl, and they're doing like a Bollywood thing, and it looks visually looks good, which sells a song. But the singer might be like, you know, not, you know, maybe looking like me, not very nice, and you know.
You're very good.
You know what I mean? It's just like all visual now. It's I mean, I sometimes think, you know, if Muhammad Rafi or Lata Mangeshkar ji had, you know, come out at this time, people would then judge them for their looks and not their voices. You know what I mean? Because these days it's all what you see on screen.
You know, you had great singers like Manak. You know, could you get a folk singer better than Manak? No, you couldn't. You know, he was a natural. He didn't hit the heights that some of the current singers are hitting because he did not have proper management. The business model that you're talking about.
On the other hand, it was a different time, wasn't it? You know, even for you guys, it was a different time.
But then you know, you had the Western artists that hitting the heights, didn't you? They were being managed and being, you know, and being promoted properly. I don't think the Indians ever did till now. I think, you know, there's proper management going on now. So
you guys, you two here, and other bands, you know, Chutney and Shin, and you know, all of the singers that we've got here, they've still got the talent. You've still got the talent. What's stopping you guys now of hitting that peak that we're talking about in terms of Daljit, Babu Man, and so on, some of the Indian artists? What's stopping us? What's stopping the industry?
No one knows the answer to that. I mean, we could have a brilliant song, you know, a brilliant track, and no one will bother. I mean, a lot of people have tried. Yeah, you know, you might sort of get a few shows on.
I think music is also...
It's saturated now. Like in our days, if Azaad or Sayyalap or Hira were releasing an album, you anticipated it. You used to ask you know, you used to go to your music shop and say, when's that coming out? When's that coming out? And you look at this, it's here. And people used to queue up, you know, outside the music shop to buy that cassette.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's not a sort of a physical thing. It's something you download or you can get it free. Or, you know, it's like the whole scene has changed.
We are a bit older now, okay? I think music is very much associated with youth as well, you know. And in our early days, if you look at our...
Good Batman is still
doing
well.
We're all in our 70s and stuff, you know, some of the artists, you know, bless them, they're doing really well, you know. But if you look at some of our photographs when we were young, Gajri Shankar lying there, you know, and looking, you know, really fresh, and you know, that was an attraction as well.
But you grow with the audience, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You have to change your music.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our problem. We haven't. Maybe we should start singing more serious songs, you know. But we still sing songs that we used to the way.
Is there still bits in you, in your heart?
Absolutely.
Definitely, it's still there.
We're always experimenting and trying things out. There's loads of unreleased songs that we, you know, that I have, and they're just lying in the studio.
And we're getting shows as well. Like we've got shows coming up.
People want to hear Azaad.
Having said all that, we haven't got any regrets. We absolutely loved what we did. And
you guys, all the Bhangra bands have got a second inning now. I feel, you know, you're back on the circuit again. You're starting to perform on stage, but also, you know, at functions and so on.
Just enjoying it now, really. I mean, we've got nothing to prove. It's just we're just loving it.
So where's your head now? Is it as a second career now, or are you still just having fun?
We're just having fun.
We're having fun. I mean, you got great backing bands, like, you know, you got Tubbsy, you know, you got the Legends, you got the Scope guys, the artist bands, you know. Those guys work really hard on our music, and when you're on stage with them, you can hear your music, Pini Pini and Mohabbat Hogi, you know, it's the original music, and they love doing it, you know. Actually, one of the things about these bands, they love doing our music, Pini Pini, you know, it's quite challenging, and they love it, you know. Harry, he just loves playing Pini Pini pieces, you know, you know, when he loves it, so they're enjoying it, and we're enjoying it, and the nice thing is, we just go on stage, Okay, everything is ready for you. Not like we used to go at 11 o'clock. There's no, special privileges for the singers. We still got to lift the speakers up and put them together and do the sound check and everything. Like now, we just go on stage, right, and it's all ready to go. And you get the mic and you start singing. You finish and you come home. And then you've got the engineers and you got the roadies doing all the work.
But it's nice. Like when we do these shows, it's nice to see. Like we had some college friends come to see us. That we used to go to. Some girls came down to see us, and so you still have these old crowds that want to sort of relive what they had in their youth, and it's nice to see that kind of audience.
And you're doing weddings of youngsters whose fathers or even granddads, I think, we performed.
So you're to the third generation now.
We're doing third generation birthday parties, but it'll be weddings soon.
Where are you taking Azaad beyond, say, 2026?
Where are we taking Azaad, Parminder?
We keep saying
we still get together. We still love the idea of making music.
We're all good friends, and we still keep thinking, let's do that. Even when General Lithnology passed away, he lives around the corner from me, and I was saying, I'm definitely going to come and see you and get some songs, and just laziness. Your life is busy and that, right? But we always talking about doing recordings and stuff, and I think eventually we'll do.
We'd like to move with technology. This new AI coming in now. You got Suno programs. I don't know if you've sort of played about with that, but you can produce some great music. Hasn't got the feel that I want it to be. It's very robotic. Some of the music, but that's coming along. I'll play you a track later, which is done by Suno. With a different kind of feel.
But I
so
think,
there is that.
But I think the going back to our original music. Your classics, like we talk about Nachdi Jawani, if you try to redo them with like modern music, it doesn't go.
You can't do
it doesn't work, because the people who that music is embedded in their minds and their memories and their hearts, right? And when you started adding chick chick chick, they'll say, "What the hell is this?"
But it was kicking music even at that time, and even now when you listen to that music, it's proper music.
You listen to some reviews on people comment on YouTube and on our tracks and say this band was so way ahead of its time. Like Nachdi Jawani and Kabaddi and that. Say, wow, this was released in '87. No way, sounds like so fresh.
But in those days, the music was done live. Songs like Peeni Peeni Sharafri, it starts at about 85 beats per minute, and it finishes at about 94. So it's live, it's speeding up with excitement.
It wasn't
it's not a click track thing. Nowadays, it's all. Maybe that's what's wrong with the music. It's not organic. It's not organic.
It's for the TikTok generation. It's a hook line. It's a hook line that people can make reels on. That's what does it. And even songs by Diljit, they're not songs that you would listen to and think there's depth in them. Not all of them. Some of them have. Some of the religious ones have. But most of the songs that they are producing, Karan Aajkal and so on, they are for the TikTok generation. A hook line where you get reels, and the more reels that are made on their hook line,
they're not heart wrenching. The words aren't heart wrenching. Because I say, "Oh, that sort of got to me." It's just a listening.
Well, some of the tracks that you guys produced and the bands in the 1980s, by the time your vocals come, nowadays the whole track's over. You told a story in the. Now there is no story. It's a chorus, a hook line, and two verses. In 2 minutes, it's over.
Even if you listen to some of the beats, I don't think people do. But when we recorded earlier, the beat changes, the doruk and the tabla change with the words. And what you're saying, and the chorus is different, verse is different, ending is different, starting is different, and there was these little things that made that music what it was in those days.
So how does it feel knowing that the music that you made, the song that you sang, that you heard in Fagwara or anywhere in Punjab, blasting out of the speakers, that those songs are going to be here in another 100 years, and people will pick it up and listen to it?
Well, that's what sort of gives us the sort of satisfaction that we've done something. It's the money wasn't there. We didn't make sort of any money out of it. We didn't probably put it out of our own pockets. But the satisfaction of that, what you just said, and seeing the faces, people enjoying themselves, dancing, that's what we're there for. And we love performing live. And And I think we did, you know, I don't know how
I
many
mean, some
thousand
people
gigs.
love this thing about you're the legends and all that. I actually feel quite funny sometimes, you know, when people call me legend. I'm not a legend.
I think legend is an overly used word.
Yeah,
now,
It is.
isn't
It is. Everybody's a kind of a
It's
legend.
anybody who's old, I think, now.
We just enjoyed what we did. I mean, legends are people.
Legends are people like Manik and the others, you know, who left this mark on the Punjabi music, you know. But I still feel a little bit funny when they call us that, you know. But
It's almost as if once they put the legend title on you, that means your career's finished. So I agree with you. I don't think you should be, none of us should be legends yet. I think in 50 years' time, you will be legends. You are, you know, for a whole generation of young people growing up, you know, to them.
I mean,
you are
nice to
legends.
see,
You
nice
are
to see
legends.
new coming artists sort of doing cover versions of us, you know, like.
So nowadays, everything is social media, everything is, as you say, technology. AI is going to take over immensely, and I think it's going to be a shame because we won't know what's real and what's not real. The artificial world and the real world is going to blend to such an extent that you won't be able to tell, and it'll be a shame in that sense. But at the same time, I feel that humanity has a way of overcoming that they will start rejecting that and want authenticity.
so there'll be something
I
else.
think
which
you go
is more
around-
So
real.
where do you guys, do you use social media? Do you kind of promote yourself, or is it just organic? Or are you missing a trick somewhere here?
We are missing out on it, but are we missing out on it? This is one of those things.
We do what we want to do, you know. We're not on Facebook constantly. You know, we don't put everything. You know, I'm going to the bathroom now. Put it on media. We don't do that sort of stuff. We do quite a few shows that are not even mentioned. You know, some people will say, "We're doing a show tonight." There, you know, we're getting ready for it. But we just do it and that's it. You know, we've done enough now. We've got nothing to prove. But we would like to produce good music that gives us satisfaction as much as it does to the listening audience.
I think the downfall is also why we haven't got any new talent, not much talent coming out from the UK, because, like I said, in a band, it was like the minds of 7-8 people putting their ideas into a track. Nowadays, this one guy sitting on a computer and using the same loops that have been used 10,000 times on other tracks, Tolak tracks or tabla tracks or you know guitars or mandolins, and they're using the same stuff. That's why it's like. You remember your mom's saag, she's put so much love into it, it takes time. It's like eating a burger, you forget about it. But you remember that saag for the rest of your life.
Good analogy. So anything coming out from you guys?
I've got one or two things that I'd like to release. I've got a song called Lovely Lovely that I want to release actually. Hopefully I'll sing a bit of that for you later. But Parminder, I don't know about you, but I have got quite a few tracks that I've just recorded, and I would love to release those, you know, one of the days.
What's stopping you?
Looking for the right time, and maybe looking for the right promoter, you know, because things come out and they disappear, don't they? Now, even you know, big artists, you know, they release something, it's there for about a week and it's gone, you know. Not that I want mine to be there forever, but I just want the right time. And enough for people to give it a bit of attention, you know, and then maybe, you know, wait for the right time. Maybe, I don't know.
But I mean, I listened to some stuff on YouTube from India, and it's got like 10 million views, and I thought, who the hell's? How many people have really watched this?
That's another story, isn't it?
So we're genuine. If we have 4,000 or 5,000 views, right, and they're genuine, that's enough for us.
You got this little kitten, you know, and it's got 4.2 million views, and there's my song there with 7 views, you know, after 2 years. The marketing is not right, is it? Something wrong with the marketing there, you know. Maybe that's the reason why we're
So
not
are you
releasing
optimistic
anything.
about the future?
I think we want to enjoy life. We're at that age, you know, when we want to enjoy life a little bit more, you know, enjoy the things that we do. We don't do anything we don't enjoy. Work, we've retired, you know, really, and we do the things that we want to do. I still teach quite a lot. It keeps the old dementia away, I think, you know. And the singing, physically that's good for you, the breathing and everything, you know. So I really want to do things that I enjoy doing now, you know. Even some of the shows I do reject quite a few shows actually, I'll be honest with you, where I think it's going to be more stress than enjoyment, you know, even if they're paying you good money. We don't do that, okay, you know.
I mean, who wants to travel to Glasgow for 2 hours and then come back?
Yeah. You know.
We used to do that.
People in Glasgow will say it's a fantastic place. Guys, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed that trip down memory lane. But I think there's still a long way for you guys to go. You've got immense talent, and that
Dying
talent
breath.
still needs to come out. And we'll do all we can to make sure that it does.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very much.
Sati.
It's been a
It's
pleasure.
always wonderful. It's a pleasure to talk to you every time. Thank you. Thank you for being with us all that time.